Skip, I thought about this. They probably have. I mean, because they stole one, right? You still won on your home court. They controlled everything against Milwaukee this year. They go home for these two. And when you start to look at it, there is no Giannis in this situation. Dame didn't have the best game, okay? And now you start to say, when you got guys like Miles Turner just doing what he was able to do, and obviously Siakam did, that's the big focal point, the name Siakam.
Yep.
But the X factor is a guy like Miles Turner. When he's able to go 9 of 15 from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3, make his free throw and give you 7 boards and 6 assists from the center position, you're gonna win a lot of games. Now, you can say, well, Brook Lopez cancels that out. Not really. Not really, because no one could cancel out Siakam. You didn't get what you needed to get from Middleton, right? You didn't get enough there. Patrick Beverley doesn't add anything from an offensive standpoint. And then Dame wasn't the same Dame as he was in game 1. 35 in the first half, even though he didn't score in the second half, and he only had 1 or 2 shots in the second half, but he could have sat down on the bench and been fine, right? He didn't even have to play in the second half. I think, though, if they could somehow figure out how to get Giannis back and healthy enough to play, they may have a chance. Otherwise, I believe that the Pacers feel like they're the little brothers of them. Yeah. And they getting ready to handle business at home.
Is it worth
and
the
go
risk,
up 3-1.
Worth the risk to try Giannis in game 3 or 4?
I don't know what his injury is. I don't know. It depends on what is he capable of doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to put a guy out on the floor because you're looking at the scoreboard and you're panicking. You don't want to do that and force him out on the floor unnecessarily. Is he capable of going? That's the question. Can he go? If he can go, then put him out there. But don't try to force him out there.
I mean, look, before the game, Doc Rivers talked to the media about Antetokounmpo, and he said that he's getting some shots up, that he's been, quote, on the floor a lot, that he's getting closer. We just don't know what closer means. How close is closer? Personally, I would be as cautious as it is possible to be. I saw the Kevin Durant movie where the calf strain definitely seemed to affect the fact that he tore his Achilles. You were talking about Giannis being a very different player than KD. KD, first of all, missed an entire year and the following playoffs. You don't want that if you're Milwaukee. Kevin was able to largely come back the same player, but he is a different body type and a very different player than Giannis. Giannis pounds. He's a much bigger guy. He's inside. You do not want to risk an Achilles tear. That will change who he is as a player. So I would be extremely cautious, even if you have to just say, great,
season's
bad
over.
luck, season's over, didn't work out. It's not worth the cost of what you'd have ahead of you. So I would be very cautious, to your point.
And there's a big difference.
Running him out on the floor.
There's a big difference with KD in that situation and Giannis in this one. This is
first round.
First round.
Yeah.
That was a championship.
Yeah. And
you know, the championship.
Totally
you do anything
to win a title.
Think about Ronnie Lott cut off his finger to play in the Super Bowl. So, you know, you do anything to win a title.
Jack Youngblood, before your time, played on a broken leg.
I know Jack Youngblood. It wasn't before my time.
All right.
A little bit.
A little bit, but he's a Ram.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But look, without Giannis, which is where they are right now, this is the Pacers' problem. Even if they had him, the goal was efficiency with this team, because the matchup with this younger, more athletic team in the Pacers is that if you don't make your shots, all of a sudden you are giving them the ball in transition, it becomes a track meet, and the Bucks can't compete with that. Well, Giannis helps in so many ways with that goal, with that efficiency goal. He's a 2-time MVP, the entire skill set that explains. He gets those easy buckets in the paint. He draws defenses away from Damian Lillard, so Damian would be more effective. So all of a sudden, with Giannis on the floor, you're making so many more of those shots, and the Pacers are never doing what they did in the fourth quarter yesterday, which is once the offense starts to get disorganized, once just a few of those shots start to miss, well, then all of a sudden, the Pacers are on a 23-4 run because they are just bouncing up and down the court. So to me, the Bucks have to be almost perfect to take this series back. And look, they played a great game in game 1, but I would not expect the Pacers to be as overwhelmed again as they looked in game 1. Role players play better at home. And Tyrese Haliburton wrote a pretty big check, bulletin board material.
He did.
Talking about how the Pacers crowd is so much better then he said the Bucks crowd last night was like a regular season game for the Pacers. It wasn't a playoff atmosphere.
Okay.
So we'll see if they pay that off,
And he's
too.
written checks before doing Dame time
exactly.
to Dame, right in his face.
Yep.
Okay. I'm with Rachel about the calf pull. Keyshawn, you know calf pulls.
Oh, yeah.
They're, if I may, they're the B word to me, because once you get them, they just won't subside. They just nag, and they can also re-go. They can re-pull. When you least expect it, you're out shooting shots. You think, I got this. And all of a sudden, there we go again. And it is all attached to the Achilles tendon, and it's too dangerous. And I'm with you. I'm waiting until next year. The Pacers beat you 4 out of 5 times in the regular season, and most of that with Giannis playing, obviously, and beat you badly 4 out of 5 times. So it's just a bad matchup to start with. It took Dame scoring 35 in the first half and then going scoreless in the second half, but 35 was enough because he punched them right in the mouth, and they weren't ready for that. And even though the Pacers won the second half, they couldn't quite climb back out of the hole that he dug for them. And then last night he had another sort of weird game. He scores 26 in the first half and then went quiet in the second half and scored only 8. And it was only a 5-point game at halftime. It's like Dame woke up and realized, I'm back in Portland. You know, like I'm a big fish in a little pond again, and I don't have a lot of help around here, and there's no Giannis, and it's just me. And it's like deja voodoo. I'm back right where I started, right? Okay, so we've talked about emerging players. I think Pascal Siakam deserves some love here, because I'm looking at these numbers from these first 2 games. My God, he's just dominating. He's by far
70-some points.
Yeah,
70 points.
He went 36 and 13 in the first game, and 37 and 11 and 6 assists last night. Well, that's like superstar numbers, right? And again, there's no Giannis defending, but still, he's just taking these games over, and Indy hasn't had that kind of player, you know, since Paul George, and even Paul he didn't have this kind of impact. That's sensational. So all of a sudden,
he's bringing championship leadership.
He is. Yep.
He's been in the big moments, so he knows.
Won a title.
Yeah.
He has a ring.
Yeah.
Not that he was the biggest reason. It was Kawhi. But,
no, of course.
Still.
But when you are in it, though, Skip, is something about knowing how to approach it. That's why they always say a coach's first time in it is different than a coach who's been there before, because you know how to prepare, you know how to do certain things, and that goes the same for players.
Yeah. Now back to Tyrese Haliburton. He's had 2, by his standards, very quiet games. So I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're better than this. He had 12 points. He did have 12 assists last night. That'll work. But he is highly capable, as you know, of going for 30-something. When he gets hot from 3, he can just got that weird 2-piece set shot, but it goes in. And so I'm looking for them to win back-to-back games and just seize complete control.
Yeah, they're probably going home. I think they do win back-to-back. They go up 2-1 now. I don't know if the 4th game, again, what's the story with Giannis? That's the biggest question that the Milwaukee Bucks have got to answer, is do we run the risk of trying to insert him into the lineup and taking a chance on our future?
And by the way, we saw it last night with Kawhi Leonard. It's not like the first game you have him back, he is going to be full-on 2-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is going to be a rusty, kind of feel-it-out version of himself.
Yep.
So that game almost, you're not getting what you'd be wanting to get, and with the injury risk. So I don't know. Look, I'm not there. I'm not a doctor, as they say, and maybe he'll be fine. And, you know, Damian Lillard is talking about having the same exact injury. He sat out for 2 weeks when he was in Portland. He came back. He was fine. No Achilles issue. But Dame Lillard is also a different body type and a different player than Giannis is.
Absolutely.
Giannis is the franchise there. He brings in the ticket money during the regular season. He is their hope of winning another title. And I don't know. I would be very, very risk-averse if I were management.
Okay, so now it looks like the NBA gods are tapping the Celtics on the shoulders and saying, you got next, right? Because we look around and we say, oh, there's no Giannis. And then, wait, there's...
What about the Knicks? Don't sleep on the New York Knicks.
I know,
They're
but
on that side of the bracket.
there's no Jimmy and no Terry Rozier. And they're like Embiid's shaky at best. And it's like, I don't know, it's Knicks or bust, right? Is that...
On that side of the bracket, the Knicks are playing an injured Joel Embiid and have the potential if they advance. And by the way, Philly still might have something to say about that. But if the Knicks advance, they're going to be facing either a very young Indiana team that, aside from Pascal, does not have a ton of playoff experience.
So y'all just dismissing the Cavs. Y'all don't even care about Donovan Mitchell now, huh?
I would say that the Cavs put themselves in a shaky position when they threw the last game of the season so that they could go play the Orlando Magic and put themselves in the Boston Celtics side of the bracket. And that was their choice. They were leading that game. They decided they only had practically G League players out there, and then they pulled the rest of them, and they decided this is the path they wanted. So they are in line of Boston, and I would say Boston would be favored in that series.
They probably will be favored, but if you know that this is your path and you're going to run a collision course to Boston, doesn't mean you're running from them, though. May mean you want them.
It may mean you want them. I'm just saying that they were in a position to at least compete for that number 2 spot. And the Knicks, who are in it right now, are facing a banged-up Sixers team with a hurt Joel Embiid. And then if they advance, then they are facing either a very young Pacers team or a Bucks team that is eked through the first round with an injured or just coming back from injury Giannis. It looks good for the Knicks.
Yeah, I love how people in general, not you, Rachel, but people in general think about collision courses. Yeah. Because you're gonna see them regardless. Whether I see them in round 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna see them. I gotta see them to get to the championship. So does it really matter when I see them?
Well, let me ask you a question as a Lakers fan, right? So I have been saying all season, this collision course with the Nuggets, I didn't think that they could come out of that. But I could still be proven wrong, but I didn't think they could come out of that. Yeah. Would you rather have seen the Nuggets in the conference finals or in the first round?
If I'm going home, I'm going home.
Really? You don't want an extra 6 weeks of playoff basketball?
It's cool, but I got to see him at some point.
Okay, but you wanted LeBron fresh for the Nuggets.
And I wanted LeBron fresh for the Nuggets. I felt like they had a better opportunity coming off, I guess you could call it a hot streak or whatever you want to call it toward the end of the season, rolling right into the playoffs. That's what I wanted.
The more time that passes, someone could get hurt on either side.
Yeah, but you asking for a lot to happen with that, right?
Yeah.
By the way, once upon a time, I never missed a Cavaliers game back when that guy played there, and now it's the one series of all these great first-round matchups. It's like off radar for me.
It's largely on NBA TV, right?
It is, yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.